This next journal is important.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, okay, and this 20. Okay, it's 20. So I'll just see how much there is here. Okay. How about Josiah? If you want to get started, first 3 paragraphs.
I do request.
You can.
I do have to.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Request. It might be spoiling ahead, but Vydar does speak in this journal entry.
Okay, where is it at?
Have to. It's in the second part of the paragraph. I'm gonna have to reprise my role, I think. But
when we get there, if you're not reading, just let me know, and then
I get you.
We'll do it. Okay. It's not.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Vydar again.
Let's see here. Yeah, I think Josiah, you can read the first 3 paragraphs, and I think you'll be fine with that.
All right. Inscribed by Thormun of Telerion, on this, the 11th day of Reneveg, the rusty outer gate squeals on its hinges, breaking through the ominous silence that surrounds this place. The gates are tall and thick, their designs are intricate and beautiful, but they no longer serve their purpose. The lock is broken. One of the gate doors hangs by a single hinge. With a push, the door squeals open. The only resistance it meets is the tall, yellowed grass and weeds. It must push its way through. In the fading light of dusk, I can still make out that the stonework is crumbling. Vines cling to everything. This is the once magnificent Montfray Manor, home of the Valkyrie Vydar. As we trudge our way through the overgrown courtyard, I can't help but get the overwhelming suspicion that we're being watched. The whole place looks completely abandoned, just like all the towns and villages that came before. As we approach the door, it swings open, seemingly of its own accord. Standing there in the doorframe is a tall, dark-haired Kyrie. He holds into a lantern which spreads just enough light to illuminate his rough face. Lord Vydar awaits, coaxed the lantern-wielding Kyrie. He acts as if our unannounced visit has long been expected. But only 2 of you will enter. It is agreed amongst ourselves that I will go representing Jandar, and Beldun will go as Olar's representative.
All right, Jeremy. Well, if you want to, do you want to try and take the rest of it? If Vydar's in there somewhere, I think Vydar speaks actually in a little bit, in a good portion of it. So go ahead and take the rest of it.
No, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Let's see where we're at. Here we are. Beldun and I are led through several dark and dusty halls and corridors by the lights of the dark-haired Kyrie's lantern. After several twists and turns, we are led through the set of oaken doors into a larger than average room. The room is windowless, but is lit by a row of lanterns along each of its walls, the flickering flames of which cause dozens of shadows to dance about. At the far end of a room sits a large dark figure on a raised platform. His wings are great black feathered things. His chin rests propped on a muscled arm. Hang on, I gotta do this right. Like this, I think. Right. After ushering ourselves as close as comfort will allow, the seated Kyrie raises his head and begins to speak in a low and growling voice. Why have you come here, Thormun, son of Senevig, and Beldun, son of Beldar? I clear my voice, preparing to speak, but I am cut short as Beldun steps forward and drops a knee, saying, I come representing my lord Ular. He wishes to extend to you his hand in friendship. I remain standing, but echo Beldun, and I come in the name of Jandar, who too wishes to pursue a mutual friendship. Vydar leans forward, his face now in the light. Along his right eye runs a large scar. His square jaw bears the shadow of a beard. His long black hair crowds in around his weathered face. In a slow, purposefully enunciated and irritated tone, he replies, And what makes Jandar and Ular think I am in need of friends? We have traveled through your land. We have seen its decay. We only wish to... Vydar cuts Beldun short. You only wish to what? To change the flow of our river's water to move upstream? The water that feeds our land out of Upper Bleakwood and Austriac has become tainted by Ugar's horde. disgusting creatures. They plague the land with their filth. And my own people turn against me. They blame me for this. Fools! They believe that we can simply escape war by running it. They've retreated south into Kinsland beyond my protective reach. I've been abandoned by my own people. My land is dying, and my armies wear thin trying to wrest control of the water source from Utgard. Now what is it you think I have to offer your mutual friendship? We cannot afford to lose Vydar at any cost. I speak with hardly a thought to the tone of my words. You of all people are not blind to the events unfolding on Valhalla. I know your eyes and ears reach much farther than your arms in these dark days. What do you think will happen if the rising Morrow thread breaks through Ullr's blockade in southern Ekstrom? Utgard threatens to surround you on all sides. You are fighting a war you cannot win alone. Send aid to Ekstrom, and we will dispatch troops to your cause in Austria. Both fights will be to your own benefit. Belden flashes me a look of concern. I know his thoughts. I have no authority to commit troops to Vydar's aid. But Jandar will understand. He must. It's our only chance to get Vydar to join our cause. There's a long pause as Vydar's dark eyes dig into me. There's no telling what he is thinking. But the fact that he's thinking about it at all works in our favor. Finally, he breaks the silence. So be it. At daybreak, a faction of my troops will march to Ullr's aid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this is all we get for Vydar, and it's one of my favorite scenes. I don't know why, but like this, yeah.
They do such a great job characterizing him. You know, at Vydar, you're just. I think the writing and your performance, you just really get this feeling of destitution from Vydar.
Yeah. Desperation.
Dude, he's struggling. Yeah, he knows, but he's also like, everyone left me, so I don't care. I'm just gonna use robots now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, I do want to ask who the character who's Belden is. That like a Heroscape character that does not have a miniature? I don't think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Belden does not have a miniature. He's associated with Ullr, so he's supposed to be he's Ullr's representative. He wears the Protector's gear, so I think he's also, if I remember correctly, he's actually in service of Jandar with gear. But yeah, it's just they never made a miniature for him, unfortunately.
Okay, interesting.
If Renegade wanted to catch up.
And then there was another character, like the Herald, that they... Let's see here, let me find it. Would that one have a name?
Just a guy who tends to the manor. One of his descendants.
His name is Harold.
Harold, yeah.
Harold, there you go.
Harold the Herald.
Harold the Herald.
But we already have a Herald in Airborne Elite, so no, think of something else. Bob. Let's call him Bob. Okay.
Yeah, Bob.
Well, it's got to sound like a Viking. It's got the Viking names, you know.
Bobdar.
Bob can't be a
Bobdar. Okay, Bobdar works.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Bobdar. I like Bobdar.
Bobdar. Bobdar.
That works. Well, I mean, there's not really much action in this. It's more just communication. But I think it shows. It unfolds the drama. It gives a little bit of character development and introduction, and like I said, it shows the desperation that Vydar has in the situation he's in, because he's not really the Valkyrie general that has like masses of armies, and so yeah, I'd be desperate too in that situation. And it just makes me think, when it comes to this story, what are they going to do for Vydar in the future when it comes to like AOA, you know?
See, this is what's so I'm interested in seeing what develops, because Vydar, his final hurrah, I guess you could say, before the game discontinued, we found out he betrays the Alliance.
Right.
And that's it. They don't tell you what's the thing. It was the ending to Shadow Cavern, which was supposed to be the third online scenario that was developed by the Wizards of the Coast dev team. They didn't get to launch it before the game discontinued, and because of all the tasks and everything that they were then reassigned to after the fact, didn't get to turn it or didn't get to release a thing for years. Shadow Cavern drops on the Heroscapers forum in 2012, so 2 years after the discontinuation, and we're all reading it, and we find out that Vydar was supposed to betray the Alliance during the official run of the story, but they didn't get to announce that because the game ended before they could put that out.
So is that going to be something as retconned, or is it going to be part of that?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Will Renegade retcon what the Wizards of the Coast team was planning to introduce? They just pretend it never happened. I mean, it's a little awkward because it's like the scenario is so weird.
You got Valkyrie too, as part of that equation
Valkyrie,
as well.
Yeah. And the reason why Vydar betrays the Alliance is because the existence of Valkyrie. He considered that they were no longer going to win. So he's like, I got to take my own interests elsewhere. So
I got to start digging underground and creating my own city underground.
It was a betrayal in trying to survive. Like he was just like, look, we got another bad guy, and I got no time for this. So bye.
Bye.
But that was it. They cut it off right there and then. I think you can play out the scenario of his betrayal because it's like Mika Connor is the one that delivers the news with a giant with a iron golem, and that's the scenario. You have to fight her, fight the bad guys, and somehow survive that. And it was just like it's a really cool panic scenario they set up. But that's it. That's all we have. We don't know anything else.
I think Vydar is going to become a really big player because he always has a sense of prescience. You can see beyond. He's the one that gets the most from the future and high tech things, and like he knows what's going on. And in Viking lore, Vydar is actually one of the key players in
Vengeance.
So he's. I think we're gonna if Renegade continues kind of this narrative. I think Vydar is going to really kind of surge in power and prominence.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be getting a Vydar Kyrie, which is extremely exciting.
First time.
So
then he was already mentioned in the AOA bios because they mentioned him in Admiral. He summoned the Admiral, and then he summoned the Admiral's assassin in the same army. Yeah. And the Admiral's like, hell no!
Yeah.
And he
I want to see that.
drops
I want
bombs
to
and
see the
leaves.
stats for that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be the assassin, the assassin Soulborg. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. Like they definitely have they're expanding more on the Soulborg terms of things too, because they're pushing forward. They are sentient, even though they're machines and things like that. So really good stuff to look forward to.
Okay, so anything else? I know this is kind of like relatively short, not really. It says a bit, but not much. But anything else we want to talk about before we close this up?
I mean, and other than this is going to start wrapping up in terms of storyline. The previous direction they had prior to deciding to move everything down south, right? So like right after this, once we finish up this chapter, you're gonna see, because they're basically closing out different parts of the war, the different fights and stuff like that. And once all of that gets solved, once the alliance gets formed, they send them down to the Takala jungle. And so you're right now. This is the start of that like denouement. Like they're trying to finish up everything and close out those plot lines. So
for sure,
we're gonna see a lot of finishing stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you'll be like, hey, that's where that came from. It's good. It's pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff.
When we get there.
Right. Yeah. When we get there. But it's like that's why you're gonna start seeing this kind of like down, like everything is just explaining the rest of what happened, and then So that was I want to say in terms of like storyline, what we just read was like the climatic point where everything is like, all right, the war starts. Jandar and Ular secures a win.
There you go.
This is when Theoden agrees to fight. Type of thing.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, look for me in the east. That kind of stuff.
Well, so I guess then we'll end it at that. The story is just getting started, and someday soon we will continue reading through Thormun's journals, but that, for right now, that was taking a look at Thormun's journal entry number 27.